Mic check, 1 2 1 2.
Can we get serious now?
One thing that did happen during the 60s was some music of an unusual or experimental nature did get recorded and did get released. Now look at who the executives were in those companies at those times. Not hip young guys. These were cigar-chomping old guys who looked at the product that came and said, I don't know. Who knows what it is? Record it, stick it out. If it sells, all right. We were better off with those guys than we are now with the supposedly hip young executives who are making the decisions of what people should see and hear in the marketplace.
Success in the music business begins with a dream, a vision. This podcast will give you, the listener, the insight and tools to turn that vision into a reality. Meet the industry professionals who work day by day behind the scenes, helping to make those dreams come true. Welcome to the business side of music.
Hey, you're tuned into this episode of the business side of music. Came across this gentleman a few weeks ago. My wife and I were, trolling the music stores here in Nashville and came across this gentleman's card. In the studio with us today is Paul Howard. He is the founder, creator, chief cook, bottle washer of Music Mecca, which to me I think has got a very cool story. He's a musician. He's been playing for a while. Published a book, which I want to talk about here.
Yes, indeed.
And hear a little bit about that because it was featured at the Southern Festival of Books, which if you're ever in Nashville, Tennessee, in the fall, it's a pretty big event. He operates this nationwide music classified site called Music Mecca, and he's always said that if that doesn't work out, he's going to get into the hot sauce business, which, you know what, I may join you on that. So anyway, Paul, welcome to the show.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, Bob.
So where are you from originally?
I am from Western New York, specifically Geneva, northern tip of Seneca Lake, between Rochester and Syracuse.
Yeah. What brought you here to Nashville?
My car. But other than that...
oh, great. We have a comedian in the bunch. That's good.
So other than that, I had friends that were living here. We went to school in Ithaca, New York, and they moved down here before I did. And I play music. They were playing music. They were in bands and that kind of thing. And I had visited a few times in 2012. I really enjoyed it. It was also a lot warmer down here in the winters, so that helped out too.
Yeah, you don't have the inches of snow here that you're getting up there right now. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. I didn't mind escaping that. And so I moved down here in March of 2015. And I got comfortable real quick, and it's been about 4 years.
So Music Mecca, it's actually let's go back a little bit because
sure.
I mentioned that you're also a book author.
Yes.
And so you wrote a book that was featured in the Southern Festival of Books. What was the book about?
So the name of the book is Vagrants in Paradise, and it is a nonfiction book. In 2010, some buddies of mine, we dropped out of college, and we booked a one-way ticket to Hawaii to work on organic farms. And it was a volunteer program called WOOF, Worldwide Opportunities of Organic Farming. We didn't know what we wanted to do in school. We didn't want to waste our time and money. So we're like, you know what? Let's just go to Hawaii. So we did. We spent 3 months there. Or I spent 3 months there, and it was just the most eye-opening time of my life. It was incredible, for better or worse. A lot of calamities, a lot of things that young men will get into. I spent my 21st birthday there, so that was really neat. But I worked on 3 farms, and as far as the book goes, it kind of just follows that path, And the first 2 farms kind of end in disaster, comedic disaster. Yeah,
at least you have a good disposition about it all.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was one of the best times of my life, and that was, just, I was compelled to write about it. It was something so cinematic about it. I just felt it could be in a movie, all these crazy things that happened to us, and I always kind of had an affinity for writing. So I started in 2013 writing it. It took me about 3.5 years and eventually got it published.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was a long time coming, but definitely, yeah.
And then you moved on, and as you said, you're a musician.
Yes,
but
indeed,
you created Music Mecca.
I did. I love to write, and I'm always still having things on the back burner. I got a second book in the works for sure. But I didn't mean to have this idea, but I did. So, one night I just, like I said, I was, perusing online, the Craigslist and the Facebooks, and I was just annoyed with it. And I thought, why isn't there, a kind of an all things music Craigslist? So I was, scouring through, Google and and I couldn't find anything, so I decided to make one.
I think it's a smart move. In Los Angeles for years, we had a newspaper called The Recycler, I think is what it was. And it was kind of that same thing. Of course, you could get automobiles or trailers or, goats for your farm, but there was also the music section.
Nice.
And it was a great place to find everything from that 1956 Gibson Les Paul or a Marshall amplifier or a Rode case, or to find a lead singer for a band.
Awesome.
But it kind of went away. I think what you're creating here, because I was looking at it, when you go to your site, you have different destinations. You've got one for finding band members, find instruments, find local music, or musician services, things like that. That's something that's desperately needed by so many people out there in the music business.
That's what I was thinking, thinking and hoping for. And I wanted to gear it towards, obviously towards musicians, but also just music lovers in general. Get the whole gamut. It's not only for musicians, people, because we have a fine vinyl section, vinyl collectors, tickets, local music sales, tickets, whatever. And then finding local music, for, you're in a certain city and, bands can post about they have shows coming up or open mics or whatever the case may be. And then our Music Mecca spotlights as well. So that's going to be our active blog that we do on upcoming or current artists, essentially.
Let's talk about that a little more. Let's get some depth on that.
Sure. So, like as a writer, I wanted to, involve writing, have an active blog, which is a good way to, keep, fresh content and all that. So what I've been doing is reaching out to artists in Nashville and beyond, and say, hey, we'd like to do an article on you. I see you've got a tour coming up. You have an album coming up or whatever. We'd love to do an article on you. All that we ask is that, you share on your social media and give us a shout out and try to help us, grow in that sense. And everybody, 9 out of 10 times they're down for it. So I've done probably about 45 at this point.
Very nice.
Yeah. And like I said, they're always psyched on it. They're always more than happy. And that's been a great X factor in getting our growth and people to recognize it and that kind of thing. So
I know we're talking a lot about the music services, but let's kind of sidebar here for a second.
Sure.
When you talk about fine vinyl or fine tickets, how do those services work?
So, the same way, Craigslist would. So if you have a bunch of albums, like you inherited 1,000 albums from your dad or your uncle or whatever. I know my dad has so many records and I have tons of his records. You're looking to sell them. If you have duplicates, triplets of some great records or some, rare vintage, whatever, and you want to sell them, go ahead and post them on there, or vice versa. If you're a collector and you're looking for records, so it would work the same way Craigslist would, if you want to sell them or if you want to buy them. And the same with tickets too, if you have extra tickets to Bonnaroo or, Coachella or whatever little shows, big shows, and you're trying to sell them, again, that's, going to be a buyer beware, that's going to be on you if you decide to buy tickets from whoever.
Sure.
But that's just, just trying to get the whole gamut of every kind of musical aspect, that I can get and classifieds and, so.
And it's something that going beyond just the vinyl music collector, if you're a band, it's if you're trying to sell tickets to a show, is that an outlet for them?
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're a band and you have tickets that you want to sell on there, by all means, however you wish to utilize it, absolutely.
I want to get into a little more detail on some things because obviously when I looked at your website, it's not just Nashville, it's many other markets.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's something that is beneficial for, especially if you're someone that's in, Austin, Texas or Atlanta, Georgia, and you want to reach out. How do those people... Let me back up. How do you reach out to those people? How do you let people know that this is out there?
Yeah, so what I've been doing is actually using Craigslist. So while it is a rival, essentially, it's also a way to, get a hold of the market that I hope to get on Music Mecca. So what I would do is post in those cities, on Craigslist about Music Mecca. It's sounding as least robotic and scammy as far as that goes, because it's difficult to reach people, on Craigslist especially. People are always weary. But I give them links to our social media and all that. Try to make it as credible as I can and whatever. But so that's what I'll do. I'll post in Austin. I'll post just cities all over, just Tampa, Austin, LA, New York, wherever. Explain what we do. It's a free service, this, that, and the other. And recently, we were accepted into Belmont's internship program. So I have a couple interns working with me this semester. So in recent posts, I've tried to implement that we are associated with Belmont to further establish credibility. But so that's been a good way to get people at least looking at the site, would be posting on Craigslist. But then you get people who respond back negatively and they're like, oh, you're spamming. And so I'm just like, you're proving my point of why we need something like Music Mecca.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah.
But anyway, so that's how I would reach out to them. Or other than that, I would reach out to music stores in the beginning, music stores and that kind of thing, seek out music stores in different cities and email them and tell them a little bit about us and basically tell them we'd love to, if you make, or we could even make a username for you and post sales that you have going on, and direct them to you guys, so we're trying to establish these relationships with music stores all over too, and that hasn't panned out as well as we'd like to. Of course, it's difficult, reaching out to other cities because we can't meet them in person like we can in Nashville.
And how long has this been going on?
Since August of 2017.
Yeah.
But like I said, we really got our footing probably, January of last year because I have no web development background. So I had to learn everything myself. I had a buddy I grew up with who lives in Boston. He's a big tech guy. So he helped me a little bit as far as the coding, different things like that.
Knows how to do the zeros and ones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so he helped me out a little bit in the beginning. And I go through WordPress, and they have good customer support. So I bug them all the time whenever I need help. So I had no web development background. So it took me a couple months to really get, the layout that I wanted, fix the little bugs and get the little nuances, straightened out and figure out, the direction I'm going. But
let's take a break. Then when we come back, we're going to dig into
good.
some of this a little bit more.
Excellent.
In the studio with us today, it's music entrepreneur and future hot sauce business owner.
Yes, indeed.
Paul Howard's here in the studio with Music Mecca, and you're listening to this edition of the business side of music.
This is Elizabeth Motley of Motley Media PR, and you're listening to the second most listened to music business podcast out there on the business side of music.
You're listening to the business side of music.
Hi, this is Vinny Ribas, the founder of Indie Connect. Our goal is to ensure that you have the knowledge, the tools, skills, resources, and connections that you need to develop a profitable and long-lasting career in music. One way we do this is through these business side of music podcasts. I'd also like to invite you to check out Indie Connect magazine, our free multimedia online publication packed with practical interviews and advice from music industry experts. Go to www.indieconnectmag.com. That's www.indieconnectmag.com. Let us walk with you and guide you every step of your musical journey.
You're listening to the business side of music.
Hey, we're back in the studio. Paul Howard with Music Mecca, sitting across from me today here in beautiful, sunny Nashville, Tennessee. We'll say beautiful and sunny. I think we've had about an inch of rain so far today, but it's okay. We need the water. We always do. So Music Mecca, I when we talk about you're not just in Nashville, and I'm just kind of looking at the short list on your website. How many markets are you actually in?
So we span the country, everybody, again, just like a Craigslist, and in Canada too. So it's kind of, anybody can post from anywhere, if you're in the West Coast, the Midwest, the Northeast, doesn't, wherever.
So how is this actually different than Craigslist? Is it because you're just really focusing on the musician side of things?
Exactly. So we want to just, get that niche, and focus, have more specified avenues that the musicians can take. Because on Craigslist, you have, your musicians category and your music instruments category. And it's all well and good, but, in your musicians category, it's loaded with a million, your studios and techs and teachers and all that. So that's why I just wanted to specify it and clean it up a little bit. And in hopes that musicians could appreciate the exclusivity of a site based strictly for them and music lovers, all that whole encompassing thing. So it's different in the fact that it has these specified categories, essentially, and a little more, personality to it too.
When you talk about something like your one category, finding band members. I mean, it's just about anybody and everything you could want to put the band together.
Exactly, so, yeah, if you're in Boston and you are looking for a drummer, but, you just, navigate your way to Boston and check that out. And, we're still working on, getting that even more subcategories, because it is even still a little broad in that sense. If you're in, Boston and find band members, it's pretty narrowed, but I would like to further get it down to, find drummers, find keyboard players, find maraca players, and all that. But right now, it's just going to be city and find band members. And then, like I said, people posting, looking for, we need a keyboardist in our band, or, hey, I am a keyboard player. Come find me, and I'd like to play in your band.
Because I'm looking at your site, and you got 500 and some odd listings just for finding musicians,
right? So
and like almost 900 for instruments. So
right, so that's the thing. It goes both ways. So you can, like I said, if you're looking to buy this guitar or you're selling this guitar, so it goes both ways. And but
pictures included.
What's that?
Pictures.
Oh yeah,
included?
You can even do videos too. If you're like, hey, check out my drumming skills or whatever. There actually is a function so you can post little upload videos too.
Very nice.
So yeah,
very nice,
which is helpful. But
what's the criteria for them? I mean, is there a gleaning process, or just
there's not, and that would be up to whoever is seeking them out. To establish if they like what they see.
Right.
So if I think you can. People, nowadays, I think, can decipher, who is, more authentic than others or whatever, because if you really are serious about it, I think you're going to put links to your music. You're going to put a little, you'll articulate it well enough. But if you're, very sloppy about it, there's no pictures, these little things are kind of telling, so it's up to the...
You're presenting yourself. It's kind of that first opportunity or first chance. Sometimes you only get one chance.
Right, yeah, so, there is a level of, you can try to be professional about your post if you're serious about joining a band, or serious that you are the best music tech in Omaha, Nebraska, whatever, or guitar tech. Establish that professionalism, or you can just be really lazy about it and say, hey, guitar player for hire, and not have a picture and just the end.
Yeah.
And that's
and I play music.
Yeah, and I play music,
which really isn't giving the details of who you are and what you're all about.
Right, and there is something of a social network too, because you can upload a picture of yourself, and have a bio about yourself, of course too, and that's where people. Obviously, everybody's so familiar with Facebook, and that makes it so easy, which can be tough to wean people off of like the Facebooks and stuff, because you can see their picture and you can kind of stalk them a little bit and see what they're about, and you have all these private music groups like Nashville, selling instruments in Nashville. There's all these private groups and all that.
Yeah.
And that's all well and good, but yeah, so there's kind of something of a social network to it as well. And like I said, it's going to work the same way Craigslist will. So it's, at your own risk, and that's in our terms and conditions. If you feel comfortable meeting this person, inviting them into your house to play guitar in your band or whatever, that's totally on you, obviously.
Right.
So
yeah, you have to do a certain amount of vetting on your end.
Right. That's up to you to do the vetting.
Yeah.
So, we're just trying to be that middle ground, and
what seems to be the most successful of all the categories? Is there one in particular that stands out more than another?
Well, probably instruments. Finding instruments and band members, especially as far as our marketing goes. Largely social media, and it's just more aesthetically pleasing when we post about instruments. Also, as far as that goes, that'll generate kind of the most likes and that kind of thing. As some weird picture of some random drummer or whatever, so there's certain aesthetic things as far as social media goes and posting and that kind of thing. Plus everybody has, musicians have kind of known for being hoarders. They have all kinds of things they're trying to sell, and so the instruments, I'd say, is certainly the most popular. Finding band members is up there too. And but there's another finding studios aspect, which I think I really want to take off too, because so many people have home studios nowadays.
And it's not just Nashville; it's every market out there.
Absolutely, you can make anybody can make a little home studio with the right gear. Obviously there's different levels of whatever with the gear you get, but that's something that somebody could post on there, like, hey, I have my own little studio. I'm not going to charge you through the nose, as far as that goes for bands.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get my foot in the door. And
right,
yeah.
Yeah, so there's so many for finding studios, obviously I have plenty of friends who have their own little studio, so you could post on there and say, hey, Paul's studio, Bob's studio, that kind of thing. Give the information about it, whatever rates that you might charge, whatever details you want to do.
Yeah.
And then take it from there, So.
Yeah, because we talked about this yesterday with another guest we had on the show about how technology has changed so much. It used to be what you've been talking about, newspapers. The classifieds in the old days. When I mentioned the recycler in Los Angeles, and now everything is digital. I mean, that's just kind of how we're approaching things.
It is,
and so to be able to offer a platform for so many different aspects of the music business. To me, I mean, when I first saw this, it just makes perfect sense because they're really, let's face it, if you get on Craigslist, you gotta really sift through a lot of trash to find some good stuff. Yeah,
you sure do. And that was my thought exactly. And you have a lot of your scammers and robots and whatnot. And at least right now, what's great about Music Mecca is that we don't have this crazy overload of users that are going to be spamming and phishing and all that.
Right.
So it's kind of bittersweet. We're new. We definitely, we're still building our user base and that kind of thing. But we're too new and not popular enough to get scammers and spammers yet. So, and hopefully,
let's hope that never happens.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And we'll certainly do the, behind the scenes, whatever kind of spam protection, of course. And
if a transaction takes place between a buyer and a seller, then that is directly with them. That's not like eBay where you go through a certain financial protocol. It's just you work out the arrangements between
with
the
them.
two of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that potentially we might have to further develop. But right now we have under our terms and conditions, like I said, stated on there that everything that you do, every transaction is up to you if you want to go through with it. And that's why it's mostly by all means you can sell somebody a guitar if you're across the country. If you want to pay for shipping and you trust if you want to do that, which I necessarily probably wouldn't encourage. But more like the main thought is if you're in Nashville and I'm in Nashville, we meet up, I see the guitar and I decide if I want to buy it, and if not, that's it. But if you are sending across the country or 6 hours away and you're packaging it up and selling, that's up to you. You got to figure it out.
Just like you would on eBay or Amazon or anything else.
Yeah, so it could work that way where you don't have to buy something in the city that you're in or whatever. But it's going to be up to you to do that vetting process. Make sure you know what you're getting into.
We're going to take another little break, get a word in for our sponsors, and come back and have some more dialogue here with Paul Howard, who is the owner-operator of Music Mecca. Really kind of one of the coolest things out there. It's all things music classifieds destination. I like that little subheading there. You're listening to this edition of The Business Side of Music.
Hey, I'm Nancy Moran of Azalea Music Group in Nashville, Tennessee, and you are listening to The Business Side of Music.
You're listening to The Business Side of Music.
Wow, I just joined the Music Starts Here community. This is a truly hidden gem for anyone in the music business. Whether you live in Nashville or anywhere else in the world, Music Starts Here is like a GPS for your music career. This is the place to be if you want to get advice and direction from some seriously talented musical people who have been where you want to go. Music news, events, and a great big community with resources for artists, songwriters, musicians, studio and tech, along with music business advice from pros in the industry, all on one site. Make sure you get your free profile now. Go to www.musicstartshere.org. That's musicstartshere.org.
You're listening to The Business Side of Music.
In the studio with us today, Paul Howard here, owner-operator, chief cook and bottle washer, as I've said earlier, hot sauce business entrepreneur down the road, with Music Mecca, talking about kind of all things music in a classified concept, which to me, this is something that's greatly needed. So I'm a musician. I'm looking for a bass player or a drummer, or I'm actually looking to put a band together. What's the cost involved? Is there any cost at all?
There is no cost involved. So, and I could ask to charge, $5 to sign up for a username, $10, but I don't want to do that. I want to get a user base, as a musician who could use this, and, I can empathize with that. So I'm not concerned about the money.
So there's no cost at all.
There's
Yeah.
no cost. You sign up for free. Just, again, I hate to keep referring to it, but just like Craigslist, you would sign up or whatever. You just put your email in. You put your email in, can do a little bio about yourself. You make it your own, put your picture in there. That's why there's something of a social network to it. But there's no cost.
Yeah.
It just costs your time and effort. That's it.
And then studios kind of the same way. I mean, you're just really selling your wares and getting it out there.
Yeah, and like I said, it's and that's the thing. People, have enjoyed it so far. The issue that we're having as a new company, the only catch with all of this is that we don't have a massive user base, right? So that's not quite there yet. So people will post, and what we do too to show our appreciation of that. Whenever people sign up and post, it's super exciting, of course. So I try to email them, and say, hey, thank you for signing up, thank you for posting. We'd love to even post about your ad on our social media and say, hey, so-and-so has an awesome studio in Asheville, Salamander Jelly Studios in Asheville, which is an actual case, and
cool name.
Yeah, Salamander Jelly. So we're happy to post about them to get them as much exposure as we can to show how much, we appreciate it too, because kind of looping back to what I was saying in the beginning, they're not getting a whole lot of people responding just because that user base, we're still building.
Well, and let's think about this too.
Yeah.
From a recording studio standpoint, it's very competitive out there. So anything you can do, like you said, Salamander Jelly in Asheville,
Yeah.
I mean, they can get the word out across the nation. You never know. Somebody may be coming through and need to do something
Absolutely.
and know about the place.
For sure, and I'm not sure how else they would know about it other than, Craigslist and all that. But again,
But through Music Mecca, once again, you're sifting through everything else. You're not looking at used horse trailers or
exactly DVD players.
Yeah,
and,
you're getting rid of
roommates
all of
and-
that. Yeah,
right. Yeah. So exactly. So we're just kind of cutting the red tape with that, getting it just completely geared towards music classifieds, of all kinds, and shifting avenues a little bit. How come 2019, what we want to do is get Music Mecca booths at festivals. Smaller festivals here and there. There's one called Romp in Owensboro, Kentucky, that I think we're going to be taking part in. But have booths, give away our free stuff. We have matchbooks, we have koozies, we have stickers, we have guitar picks. 1,000 guitar picks. And then have a sign-up sheet for our newsletter and basically curate that newsletter to whatever city you live in. You're in Chicago, you're in Omaha, you are in, Fort Lauderdale. Curate that newsletter, and send it out to you when there's new ads in your area.
Right.
So it's relevant to you. You're not getting, useless newsletters, which, we've all had plenty of those. So I'm hoping, so that's what kind of one of our goals in 2019, is establish this newsletter and establish a presence at some festivals to give stuff out and to get people to sign up, and all we need is their email. That's it.
That's it. And you're not selling that email. You're just using
No,
it for you.
not at all. I wouldn't even know how to. And that's the thing I'm trying to get through to people is that I'm just one guy. I'm not like CMA corporate company trying to
Exactly.
So that's what I'm trying to get the point across to people is that this is a very grassroots effort. And I can't stress that enough. Everything I do comes out of my own pocket. As far as the domain, my picks, my matchbooks, my every little thing is just out of my paycheck from my normal job. So
this is a great service. How can they find you? How do they get involved in this?
So, www.musicmecca.org. So it is a .org and not a .com. So you can check it out. You sift through it. By all means, please make a username. Totally free to sign up.
And then once you sign up for once, you don't have to sign up again. Yeah.
No, you sign up once. And then you should be good to go. And and you can look at all the ads without signing up also. But if you want to make a post, obviously, or be involved, which I highly encourage, then you make a username and get involved. But you can scan and look at all the different things. We got close to 1,400 ads, all over the country. We're based in Nashville, but it's all over the country, all over the U.S.
Right. And once again, what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it.
Exactly. So, and by all, you can post several different things, go nuts. You have records you want to sell. You also have a studio. You also have guitars. You can post several things.
Or services. Do you have services?
Services too, absolutely. If you, like I said, if you're a drum technician or a guitar technician, or you are a graphic designer, it could even extend a little further because I have a general music services thing. If you want to do artwork for an album you're seeking, so there's different avenues, as far as that goes too. So yeah, there's general music services category if you don't find exactly your, what you're doing there,
right,
what you're looking for.
Very cool. Paul, thanks for being on the show. This is great.
I appreciate it so much. Thank you for having me, Bob.
Good information.
Wonderful. Appreciate it.
The Business Side of Music is the creation of Tom Sabella and Traci Snow and is produced by Bob Bender. Co-producer for the show is Vinny Ribas. The Business Side of Music is recorded at Music Dog Studios in Los Angeles, California and Nashville, Tennessee. Production sound designed by Keith Stark. Voiceover and promo by Lisa Busan.